Welcome back to The Vocalist. Today I am hearing the band Amon Amarth for the first time, so we're starting with the song Twilight of the Thunder God. Here we go. Goodness. Not what I was anticipating. Let me go back. Oh my gosh. What an interesting harsh vocal. I feel like every metal singer I hear has a unique sound. There is so much growl in this harsh vocal. Like, it sounds like there's a lot of false chord engagement, but I have no idea, because at the same time I was listening to the music because it is so full. Like, this arrangement, it is satisfying, you know, to just it just feels so complete. So here we go. I hope metal enthusiasts don't cringe when I say this, but it is catchy. Like, that opening melody is catchy in the best way. And it's recognizable. So if ever this were on the radio, like, I would be able to distinguish which song it is by this opening, and I love that. And then, of course, at this last iteration of that theme, we heard the drums come in. But without the drums, well, hold on, let me listen again. Sorry, I should rephrase. I was like, I know I was hearing drums, but with the increase in the drums, with like the new drumming pattern, I don't know, it just sort of made the whole thing continue to come to life. I won't even say come to life, because the opening is very exciting. It sounds like there's a slight descending slide in this harsh vocal. It started out as a scream, but then I feel like it got lower. It's just hard for me to sort of pull it out from the rest of the music, so I'm not confident in saying that. I'm wondering now. I'm looking at an official video. I cannot speak to this gentleman's height, but he seems like a tall man. And oftentimes, the taller you are, when you're thinking about the shape and the size of the vocal folds, we see a lot of bass voices from taller men. This is not a hard, fast rule. There are bass voices at just about every height, but I'm wondering if some of the added richness I'm hearing, he's able to deliver less intentionally because of his stature. And of course, I'm theorizing because, again, I don't know if he's actually as tall as I'm seeing in this video, but yeah, either way, we're going back because that is such an interesting, rich, low, harsh vocal. I think a lot of times when I think of harsh vocals, especially when there's false chord engagement, they're naturally those sounds naturally carry with them the depth that I'm talking about. But if there's true chord engagement and you're already a bass voice, I imagine that would magnify that depth. Like I said, we're going back. I don't know if I'm gonna find it. Now this sounds just a smidge higher to me. I find this section very interesting. You can hear that melodic theme in guitar. I think it's guitar. Even though it doesn't sound like he is singing like on specific notes, that, I don't know, it's like subliminal messaging with the melody underneath. It kind of gives the impression that there is more variation in his pitch than there is, because it does feel very speech-like, this particular harsh vocal. There is variation in pitch, but I think the melody that we're hearing underneath is helping to at least magnify my awareness of it. The slightly more spread vowels feel like there's more true chord engagement with those, and the taller vowels, I think, are lending themselves more to false chord engagement or a slightly more rounded, gravelly sound. I have to do it again. It's so, now this section, firstly, I like the complete shift. It's giving, I mean, at least with this video that's influencing how I'm in sort of hearing the song, it does feel like the setting has completely shifted. On top of that, what's happening musically feels like there's so much more contrast compared to the vocals. So earlier in the song, it's not that his vocals were hiding by any means, but they felt like they were more in line with the whole arrangement. But now I feel like there's more separation, and it feels like they're standing out a lot more because just the overall color of the musical arrangement, the orchestration here compared to what he's doing vocally, I feel like there's just a wider gap. See, like, there's so much depth, and I'm standing by that false chord engagement theory. It just feels so low, whereas the instruments, they're more percussive, but also there's like an edginess that's a little brighter. So again, with all that brightness compared to, or in contrast with all of that depth, it's easy for me to sort of tune in to either one. There was a moment in there, I don't know if it was a second voicing, if he was like in the studio and did an added voicing, or if it was something in the instruments. Something felt echoey, and okay, if you know what's happening around the 3-minute mark, please comment that, because I am so curious how this sound is being produced. It really does sound like two voices, but the sounds are so similar. I don't know how it's happening, but I like it. That was intense. I like the section where you could hear the clashing of swords. I thought that was really cool. And then the guitar riff at the end. So much happened in such a short... I mean, the song itself, a lot was happening, but especially at the end there were a lot of details that got put in such a short span of time. Wow. I'm speechless. You guys will have to let me know if this was a good representation of the band as a whole, of his vocals. Especially since I'm theorizing that he has a bass range. I'm curious if he does any singing, but by the sound of this particular song, I'm guessing not. I don't know though, so I'll wait to see what you guys have to say, but that is it for today. Thank you so much for this recommendation and for watching with me, and hopefully I will see you next time.